This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2, Welcome to DBL. It's Thursday, May 13th. I'm Jeff here with my friends Stephanie and Erica. How we feeling?
Feeling good.
Looking good down there.
Oh, thanks. Y'all looking good yourselves.
Not like that, though.
Oh, well,
We're very neutral.
Very
Sorry,
neutral.
Steph, we're very neutral.
No, she's bringing like all the pizzazz.
I like
but she
it.
does.
I like it. I'm a little jealous. All right.
Well, happy to be back.
Should you be held accountable for actions you took as a 12-year-old? What if those actions only happened 4 years ago, though? That's what a lot of people are asking after 16-year-old American Idol contestant Caleb Kennedy was forced to withdraw from the competition. It all came down to a video that resurfaced of Caleb from when he was 12 years old. And a warning to our viewers, this may be disturbing. It shows him with a friend in what appears to be a KKK hood. Caleb's mother said that the two boys, I should say, had just watched a horror movie, The Strangers Pray at Night, and they were trying to recreate one of the characters who you see here. Caleb released an apology about the video, saying in part, quote, "I was younger and did not think about my actions, but that's not an excuse." It's not clear if Caleb left or if ABC kicked him off the show, but the question is, should he be held accountable for a video when he was just 12 years old? And on the other side, if you're ABC, can you have a contestant with a video like this from their past, especially if he went on to win the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, we had the privilege of not having being a part of the digital era when we were 12 years old.
Yeah.
However, I just want to say that this is going to be a very teachable moment for a lot of people, for a lot of children, and for parents as well. The bottom line is, this is a kid who, him and his friends, had access to what looked to be like a certified KKK hood. So regardless of what the intention is, it really speaks to what was going on in that household. Like, that does not look like I took a sheet and cut out. That looks like it's been certified with the gold standard from the KKK. Does it not?
It's got the tag on there?
It doesn't look like he's got a pair of scissors and cut it out, I must say. It does look a bit perfect.
At 12, and I'm just asking a question, at 12, do you know what that represents?
I wouldn't have known at 12, but I also didn't grow up in America. So, I mean, I don't know. In England, I wouldn't have known what that was. I also didn't really watch horror movies because I was always afraid of everything. So I wouldn't have been. I don't even know who that character is. Who he was meant to be. I don't even know.
Let me talk about ABC.
I feel like you know by 12, though.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, because I certainly would have recognized the KKK hood.
Yes, I'm not making an excuse for him. I'm just kind of taking the other side. But I want to go to ABC here because I don't think they have a choice. Even if this isn't somewhat of an explanation, they cannot have him around, right?
You've got to think it was only 4 years ago because he's 16. It's not as if he's, you know, I don't know. I just feel like as well it looks as though he was like laughing and joking. And I wonder, what does that word mean, bow? Does that mean something? I mean, I don't know.
If you're speaking in the terms of the KKK, bow, I would assume, again, I don't know. We're kind of looking into it.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. I do know that ABC, though, has some residuals happening, or residual effects happening from The Bachelor catastrophe. True. And so I think that they're just like, no, hard line in the sand. And honestly, this sucks so bad for him to have this be his lesson on this scale. Mm-hmm. But that's how it happens sometimes. And like, it's promoting conversation. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. All right. Chrissy Teigen is also coming under fire for some past posts. In an interview with the Daily Beast, Courtney Stodden said back in 2011, Chrissy would, quote, privately DM me and tell me to kill myself on Twitter. Courtney, who identifies as non-binary, was 16 at the time and married to actor Doug Hutchinson, who was 50. Chrissy tweeted that she is mortified and sad at who she was at that age, saying, quote, "I was an insane, attention-seeking troll, and I am ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior." She added that she tried to connect with Courtney privately, but also wanted to publicly apologize. Courtney accepted Chrissy's apology on Instagram, but never heard from Chrissy on her camp in private, and claims Chrissy blocked them on Twitter. Courtney said the apology, quote, feels like a public attempt to save her partnership with Target and other brands who are realizing her weakness, or her wokeness is a broken record. Okay, I kind of botched that whole thing, but we got the gist of it, right? So she accepted her apology, but at the same time chose to write that and saying it's an attempt to save her
No, I think you can accept
Target
the
ads and
apology and say, you know, okay, you reached out, and publicly I'm going to say I heard it. You know, she's not denying it, but she can also say, but it doesn't seem sincere. I think she's well within her right to say that. I don't think that means she's not accepting the apology.
So, I mean, I want to kind of connect the two stories. This poor kid at 16, his life is not over, but it's in jeopardy, right? I don't think he's going to have a career in the entertainment industry. For Chrissy Teigen, it's tell somebody to go kill themselves.
I'm so surprised.
I mean, I'm not saying her career should be over,
No.
but I mean, if we're going to, there's got to be some sort of scale, right here?
Yeah, I think the scale for, quote, cancellation is really, do you still have a consumer base? Do you still have that support? That really dictates whether or not you are going to be a part of cancel culture. I think the Chrissy Teigen thing is like, that is super cringy.
Yeah.
But also, when Courtney Stodden,
Yeah.
so who goes by they,
Yes.
they were in the news, everybody, like, honestly, the way that people in pop culture spoke about this 16-year-old child who clearly was in a relationship with a full-grown man and was a victim, regardless of how this was spun, was ridiculous. And I think that when we're looking at things that happened, that was, what, 10 years ago or something, we all could audit ourselves. But the idea to go the extra mile to send somebody a message like that.
I'm surprised, because I always feel like Chrissy is so, like, I hate using the word woke, but like I always feel like Chrissy is like always so sweet and shit. That's why she also came off Twitter, because of people saying mean things, you know?
Well, it could have also been, I mean, we all have an opportunity to change.
Yeah, of course.
And grow.
Of
and
course.
I think, especially when we were in social media, it's like, it's been a free-for-all, but back then, even more so.
Yeah.
Now it's like checks and balances, everybody's checking everybody. But I do think, I'm not surprised by it. I just think that, you know, we all have to be ready to get it how we've given it, you know?
I think it comes down to how disposable are you. You're a contestant that nobody knows, very disposable. You're Chrissy Teigen, Ellen DeGeneres, not so disposable. Maybe, maybe not. All right, we'll be right back with Leslie Jordan.
Closed captioning provided by
It's a trend that's taking over social media called baby botox. The idea is to soften the movement of facial muscles and prevent the appearance of lines down the road. According to the Washington Post, people ages 20 to 39 were responsible for about 20% of all Botox procedures in 2019. The majority of patients are women, but dermatologists report more and more men are jumping on the anti-aging bandwagon. Preventative Botox isn't the same as erasing wrinkles. Instead, small amounts of the toxin are used on targeted muscles to temporarily weaken them. Also, fewer treatments are needed than with the traditional procedure. If done correctly, that means you'll still have natural facial movement. It just stops you from tensing those muscles too hard. So, what do doctors want you to know? First, there isn't a lot of research on the long-term effects of baby Botox, but prolonged use could have consequences. Also, since this is preventative, patients will need to continue getting injections, and that could be costly. Plus, since things can go wrong if the procedure isn't done properly, you have to do your research when finding a provider. And remember, there is no such thing as staying young forever. That's connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. Well, even Oprah can admit to having a bad interview. I can relate. She was recently dishing about her most cringeworthy interviews to Rob Lowe on his podcast, and Oprah says she really messed up when she was interviewing Sally Field. Oprah said she asked an indelicate question about Burt Reynolds, who Sally dated for 5 years back in the 70s and 80s. Have a listen.
I asked her, does Burt sleep with his toupee on? I cringe to even think that I asked that question. But I asked it because the producers are like, you have to ask, you have to ask, you have to ask. That's what everybody wants to know. And so I asked it, and she went cold on me. She shut down, and I could not get in again.
Listen, Oprah, I could relate. I could kind of flash back to some interviews where I'm just like, oh, I shouldn't have asked that. But it's kind of like how the person reacts to what questions you ask, right? And as Oprah, she's got to ask a question like that, or maybe she doesn't. But I'm saying sometimes you got to get something spicy.
And you got to think that was a while ago, and people were a lot more open.
In the 70s and 80s?
Yeah, you got to think that people were a lot more open then. I mean, still, that's, but you know, we as journalists, interviewers, whatever, we used to ask a lot more questions that now simply would be a hard, you'd be escorted out the room, you know? So, but I even felt the cringe as I was listening.
I'm definitely not a journalist, definitely not. But when it comes to like asking questions, I'm like, I'm a journalist, I had to ask that. So I use it as like a crutch, you know?
I think, for me, coming from morning radio, like our perimeter, like we could talk about anything. At 7 o'clock in the morning, you're having full conversations about sex with some of your guests. You know, I just remember the two guys I worked with could ask anybody anything, and people would find it to be like hilarious and entertaining. I'm interviewing Justin Timberlake, and I don't know what happened. Like, my mind just went completely blank. And I was like, well, we watched you grow up, and, you were a boy, and now you're a man. You're a man. You're a young man. You're a boy. You're not a boy anymore. And I just, stumbled across this whole thing. And my co-hosts were like, will you shut up? And he's looking like, what are you asking me? It was just so cringy. Oh. I just got nervous, and I just started saying things. And then there was a time that Nick Cannon snapped on me for saying something about his ex, Christina Milian, because he had come in and said something about her. And then the next week, she came in and said something about him. And then 2 weeks later, he came back in, and I was like, well, she said blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm not having this conversation. I was like, oh, I gotta go home.
Sometimes those are the best part of the interview, though, for the viewer.
Oh my God!
Right? It's uncomfortable for you, but for the viewer,
the viewer or the listener, that's also those moments, those cringy moments where you might be dying. They are all in with everything because they want to know the answer. And watching and listening to those awkward moments is sometimes pretty awesome. Not for the people involved.
No, not for the people involved.
If you like cringy moments, you must be loving this show. Come on by DBL. The very funny Leslie Jordan is here. You just never know what he's gonna say. He's coming up next.
Welcome to DBL. I'm going to start off with this question for you. The killer, the actual killer in your case, has never been brought to justice. And you've said that this murder will always be a cold case. I want to know from you why you think that.
Well, there's actually two murderers in this case. One was my co-defendant, and he died. 80% of the evidence that freed me was in 3 places: the prosecutor's file, the police file, and the coroner's file, and it was there all along.
Welcome back to DBL. Leslie Jordan is an Emmy-winning actor and, as of last year, a viral sensation thanks to his hilarious and very relatable Instagram feed during lockdown. Earlier, he stopped by DBL to tell us about his new book, How Y'all Doing? Right before the interview started, we were talking about our high school years. We picked up with Leslie telling us all about his. Check it out.
Love you. And in fact, before we get to your book and questions and getting to know you, we want to know what you were like in high school. And we actually have a photo of you in high school, too. So first, let's look at, there's Leslie in high school.
Nice.
Or college. Oh, my gosh. So what are you thinking?
That hairstyle's in style now.
Yeah, it's like the Bieber.
But you know what's sad? I was nice looking and I didn't know it.
Aww.
I just didn't have a lot of self-esteem. It was funny to be this 66-year-old man just perfectly happy with who he is and what he is. But it was a long time getting there.
Amen.
And in high school, I didn't have it. You know, I carried a secret. I know that you won't believe this, but I'm homosexual.
Yay!
Yes.
It was my cross to bear. But you know, when you have a secret like that, I learned really, really early to be funny. I learned to be funny to keep the bullies at bay. And that, you know, that worked. And then as you grow older, you realize you can really use it to not only keep the bullies at bay, but I can use it to get people to really, really like me. I didn't end up with the group I thought I was going to end up. I thought I was going to end up behind the boiler, smoking cigarettes and stuff, you know, smoking dope. But I didn't end up
There's
back
still
there.
time, Leslie.
Leslie, we appreciate you, and I know so many people watching can relate to that, so thank you for sharing that. And before we get into your book, we've been asking our guests how they spent 2020, but we already know from your Instagram, so exactly 1 year ago, you posted a video showing what you were up to. I want our viewers to take a look.
Oh, brother, how stupid do I feel? I decided I was going to go to the grocery store on my bicycle. And I've got my bicycle with a basket. When I bought the bike, they said, "Do you want metal or wicker, Mr. Jordan?" Wicker. And so I get all the way to the store, and I shop because I'm making my mother's chicken and dressing. And I get all the way up to the register. Forgot my wallet. I'm not going to ride this bike back to the store. I'm too humiliated. I'm going to go to another store in my car.
Leslie, I hope you treated that wicker basket. You know, I once had a wicker basket on my
I did
bike.
not. You should see it.
Not good.
And Leslie, thank you for cutting off Sam's wicker basket story. We were going to lose all our viewers. So thank you. You definitely know television.
Sorry, I just want to get to your mom real fast because she's also a social media star. Is that where you get your great sense of humor from?
From social media?
No, from your mother, Peggy Ann. Is she...
Oh, from the my mom.
There she is.
You know, I have to fess up. I started years ago making up stories about my mom, and they were actually sometimes things she did, and sometimes they were things that my sisters had said she did. And I created this character, Mama! And so over the years, I've had to apologize to her for many times. My mother is very quiet. She is very beautiful. We lost our dad when I was 11 years old. He was killed in a plane crash. Aww. So she was 33 years old. She had never written a check, and she had 3 children to raise. Wow. And she asked me, she said, "Would you go with me to the bank? I want to get some traveler's checks." That's what my sister Dorothy said I would need if we were going to go down to Florida. So we went in and told the lady, we got in there. Mama said, "You go up there, you go up there." And I said, "I'm 11 years old. You got to learn how to do these things, Mama." She said, "I didn't raise you to treat me like this." And so we got up to the counter, and my mother said, "Hello, my name is Peggy Jordan, and I would like to purchase traveler's checks." The woman was counting the money out. She said, "What denominations?" Mother said, "Baptist."
Now, Leslie, we got a little bit of time, and we got to get to your book really quickly. It's called How Y'all Doing? Now, did you start writing after viral fame or before?
What? I wrote it after. How y'all doing came out of me saying how y'all doing on Instagram.
Oh.
And I think that I got so many followers because I didn't go anywhere near politics. I didn't go anywhere near religion. I didn't go anywhere try to sell you anything. I would just say, how are y'all doing? And I would answer myself. I would say, we're doing awful. What are we going to do? How are we going to get out of this? When is this going to end?
Well,
how many effing days does April have in it? It's still April.
Leslie, we are doing better for having met you, man.
We adore you. Thank you so much for joining us, Leslie. And if you want more of Leslie, you guys can buy his new book, How Y'all Doing, wherever books are sold. We appreciate you. We'll be right back.
How y'all doing?
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Verify exists to clear up misinformation and answer your questions, big and small, about the coronavirus pandemic. One viewer named Carol asked us, quote, what metrics will determine when the pandemic is over? Is there a data target of sorts? So let's verify. What does it mean for a pandemic to end?
Pandemics don't end in a bang, but in a whimper.
That's our first source, Dr. Stephen Kissler with the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. And one way that the pandemic could end is simply that there's no more COVID. SARS-CoV-2 just stops spreading. But our experts say that this one is pretty unlikely.
So instead, what I think we'll be looking for is something where COVID poses a similar risk on the population level as other things that we're familiar with. Flu is another really good example here.
Dr. Linda Nabha, an infectious diseases expert from the University of Pittsburgh, agrees.
Infection rate, hospitalizations, and deaths are sort of the three major endpoints we look at, in addition to what we've talked about before is herd immunity.
Herd immunity is when enough of the population has been vaccinated to protect those who haven't been. And really, our experts say that the end of the pandemic will depend on where in the world you live. Here's an example. Let's take these two infectious diseases, HIV and tuberculosis. The WHO says that 1.5 million people still die from TB every year. And in 2019, almost 700,000 people died of HIV-related causes. Dr. Kissler believes that they're both still pandemics, but they're mostly affecting low to middle income countries.
I think that may be what we transition into, where under some definitions, SARS-CoV-2 will continue to be a pandemic.
So we can verify that we'll watch for infections, hospitalizations, and deaths to go down in order to reach some sort of end. But when that end is going to depend on where you live. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for some sweet, sweet deals because earlier I showed Tori some amazing products at even better prices. Here's this week's DBL Deal Blast presented by MorningSave.com.
All right, Steph, what do you have for us today?
Hey Tori, I'm here with some great products and deals for you guys. So first up, we've got something that will take your phone's on-camera experience to the next level. It is the Vivitar 12-inch selfie ring light with stand. Check this out. The LED ring light provides maximum lighting for Zoom meetings or any on-camera needs. Normally this is as much as $100. It's not surprising with how fancy this is. We've got it for only $39, saving up to 61%.
Oh, great price. Great price.
Love this one. Okay, next up, I've got the perfect item to give you the spa treatment at home without the expensive price tag. So this is the 24-pack Spa Life face mask assortment bay. Wow. So normally this pack is $60, but we've got it for only $15, saving up to 75%.
You could get one mask for $15.
I think that's a really good deal. Love that one. Next up, I've got something that will add style and elegance to your bedroom. It's the Marquise by Waterford Charmeuse Sateen Sheet Set. So this deal is available in Queen or King and includes one flat sheet, one fitted sheet, 2 pillowcases, and it's silky soft to the touch. It's satin, so it'll keep your hair and skin smooth while you're asleep. So normally it's as much as $70 to $80. Now we've got it for only $29 to $39, saving on size, so it depends which one you want, and it's saving up to 59%. Lastly, Tori, if you're like me, if you love music while you're out and about on the go, well, this Adoro Amplify metallic wireless stereo Bluetooth headphones do just that. So normally these are as much as $50, but we've got them only for $15, saving up to 70%.
I think you're kidding me.
Beautiful. I love this color combination here
too. Very, very minimalist. I love that. All right, guys, head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at seriously the lowest prices. You can even visit morningsave.com right on your smartphone. Thank you so much, Steph.
I'm a big fan of that, their big selfie light stick that you can make all the different colors. It's got a remote control, so if you're like far away, you know, you can activate it if you're filming at home, which we do.
What do you use the other color for, like a blue?
Oh, wait, there's blue, red, green, everything.
For what?
Lighting, mood.
Whoa, you gotta help
Good
me.
filters.
I need help over here. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place.